I have with me Shakil Ahmed Rame, who is an economist. Thank you for joining us today. Dr. Idrees Khawaja, who's also an economist. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Idrees, in terms of, as far as, we are talking about the fact that we, according to Shakil Saab, is saying that we don't have that kind of consumption, we don't have that kind of, if we look at our salaries, or people don't have that kind of capacity. If you compare it to all over the world, we're a third world country, we have our limitations to begin with. In the kind of scenario that we are experiencing at this time, how do you expect things to go in the next couple of months? Because of course today also, I think, if I'm not wrong, interbank dollar it was, I think, 207 or 208. I may be wrong, but it seems to be, it doesn't seem to be coming down. Overall, how do you see it?
Thank you, Mara, for inviting me. Let me say that this is an unusual situation.
Okay.
Everyone knows that the inflation would be unprecedented. Now the question is how to deal with it. Me, Rame Saab and others, few would not have an ideal situation. So what I would say is that the country should run an innovation challenge.
Okay.
Ask people what would be the best solution to deal with the situation, and give them 3-4 criteria. That the solution should be least inflationary, should have least impact of growth, should be politically viable, and should be administratively viable. Now let me come to one solution that I can offer. This is an unusual situation. Tell the people that this is an unusual situation, and do what we do in unusual situations. Treat it like a natural calamity. What we do in earthquakes, what we do in floods, what we have done in COVID. Do this. Ask the people, ask the welfare organizations to contribute, and whatever the funds are raised, use that to give relief not only to the poor class, but also to the middle class. The middle class would also be affected.
I want to come to that. I think that when we talk about the poor class, we talk about the budget also, and I think, last week we were talking about the budget. Dr. Idrees, overall, as an economist, how do you see the effect of this also now on Pakistan economy?
The FATF, so far, what happen if we are out of the grey list, then basically it prevents us from going to the blacklist. So that is good news for us.
Right.
But so far, FA and grey list hasn't affected us much in real terms. So it is good for optics, and it is good news that we will not be going to the blacklist. Now, if coming back to inflation, I would say that, as I said, that the government and the media needs to build a narrative that this is an unusual situation, and we need unusual measures. The unusual measures again could be, for example, what we have been doing in floods and earthquakes, etc. That the business community and the real estate tycoons, they come and they give donations, etc. There is a salary cut, one-day salary cut, etc. for the government employees, etc. This would raise money, and if we can somehow include the political parties into this, and they go for the relief, then the political parties would like to excel each other in providing relief, because they would have to buy votes for this. Perhaps in this way we would be solving to an extent the inflation.
How do you think we can proceed from here? Initiatives that we can take, like Idrees Saab is talking about, deal with it as a crisis situation. I think perhaps that's the right way to go forward, because we are, whether we acknowledge today or maybe 4 months down the road, in the wake of that kind of crisis.
I think if we go for economic emergency, it will have more repercussions for our economy and our country. I am deadly against the charity. Put the people in work, don't make them beggars. And that is due to that mentality of the begging, that is the real problem of this country. If you have to give the money to the people, ask them to work. And productive force, either they are doing very minor things, but they will be contributing in the economy, which will help you in the long run to build your production base, which is a prerequisite to come out of crises.
I'll go to Dr. Idrees. Dr. Idrees, we were earlier talking about, also Charter of Economy and the fact that we can't, Dr. Salman Shah said that there's a lot of polarization. We are also seeing that, there's no doubt about that, in terms of, political relationship between political parties, and it doesn't seem likely that we are going to get that kind of charter on economy. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, as far as charter economy is concerned, political parties are expected to fight elections based on their policies and manifestos. Charter of Economy would essentially mean that all the parties have a single manifesto.
Right, that's one of the arguments.
Because the People's Party, for example, is not in favor of privatization. The Muslim League wants privatization, and so on and so forth. The PTI is in favor of social safety nets. So what would they go with to the public with their policies if they have a Charter of Economy? So I think this is basically a non-starter. Regarding, if you allow me to add what Ramesh said about charity, I was not, when I'm referring to relief, I'm not saying about charity. What I'm saying is that this is an unprecedented inflation. Even if a person has an income of 1 lakh, has 4 or 5 months mouths to feed, 2 children to go to school, this would mean he has nothing left in his bank account at the end of the month. So what should he do? Take the kids out of the school and send to a lower fee school, or shift his house from to a lower rent house? What should he do? So I'm asking about providing this kind of relief, and the political parties and the welfare organizations should come forth, aided by the government, to solve this problem. And perhaps,
are you saying a public partner, a private partnership?
Here comes the problem. The government did not invest on education. It is the fault of the government. Government did not invest on the health. They gave the Sehat card for the private sector. They did not build the infrastructure. They could build the infrastructure of the government, which will be the sustainable solution, not the one-time activity. So here comes we need to tackle the issues.
Agreed. There are a lot of reforms that are required to enhance growth, which would be good governance, privatization, so on and so forth. But all these reforms cannot happen in 1 year.
But we keep talking about that.
We have to talk about the immediate problem. We have to.
You're saying that take these emergency measures to combat inflation.
This is a hunger problem.
Which is on a, right. Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much for being with us, Shakil Ahmed Rame Saab, Dr. Idrees Khawaja, Kaisar Ahmed Sheikh, Dr. Salman Shah. Thank you so much for joining us today on Thursday.